Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Championship Prediction League. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas indeed. Gab, how was your Christmas, mate?
It was lovely, thank you. Yes, enjoyed a bit of free time to hit the reset button, so I've enjoyed that. But even more, looking forward to getting back into some EFL and Championship action.
And you did very well last week, I'm pleased to report, for the Boxing Day
Finally,
fixtures. 9 points for Gab Sutton, a couple of correct scores in there. You got 9 points. I also got 9 points with a couple of correct scores in there. I think there was a 0-0 that helped me out along the way. Ollie, unfortunately, can't be with us today, and he only got 3 points as well. So we'll move on quickly
he'll
from
only, he'll only join us the days where he's just got a high score, right?
Yeah, it's like Jamie Carragher on the overlap, isn't it? We should start though with a belting game at the CBS Arena, 6 p.m. on Monday. It's Coventry versus Ipswich, Gab, and my belief is strengthening that Coventry are going to win this league and not just win it, but have a pretty clear margin. If they win this game,
Mm.
massive statement.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think outside Middlesbrough, Ipswich are comfortably, I would say, the clearest challenger to. I mean, if there is a challenger to Coventry at the moment, but if they win this one, then it's a 16-point margin, isn't it? And I think very difficult to make a case for Coventry not certainly making the top two and also winning the title. So Coventry City in a brilliant position at the moment. Having said that, I'm probably going to back the draw because Kieran McKenna's side don't lose many games. They lost a couple in August, don't they? But since then, I think it's 3 defeats in 18, so they've got a real solidity about them as well. Coventry have had quite a congested fixture period, which they've done to get through with the points that they have. With quite a small squad. So it is actually 8 points from their last 5 games, which is still a very solid return, but maybe not quite in line with their sumptuous form and those winning runs that we've associated with them previously. So for that reason, I'm going to back a 1-1 draw.
Very interesting. And I was going to back a draw, but I'm not going to back a draw because I was doing some research. I realised that Ipswich, they only have the 12th best away form in the league. Their home form is incredibly strong at Portman Road. We've
Yeah.
only won 3 games this season away from home, drawing 4, losing 4. I think I have to back Coventry, even though they're not free scoring anymore, to win this game. So I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 Coventry win and just back the team that can't stop winning games at home. 8 wins in a row now for Coventry. And if they win all their home games, they're pretty much there, aren't they, Gab? So that's
Yeah.
what I'm going for. I'm going for a 2-1 Cov win in that big game to kick us off for game week 24, past the halfway stage now in the Championship. Exciting stuff. Up next, we have, my word, is Leicester City, Gab, hosting Derby County, and Leicester are all over the show at the minute. So I think I'm going to lean towards a Derby County win because I really like what John Eustace does. I like the way he sets his teams up. I thought, even though there was that silly red card against Birmingham, I thought what we saw from them in the second half is sort of what we would expect from a John Eustace side in terms of being resolute, hard to break down, yada, yada, yada. And I just said it last week when they were playing Watford at home. They lost 2-1 at home to Watford, Leicester. I cannot trust Marty Cifuentes and this Leicester City team. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away win in this one because I think Derby are a better team right now. I'm seriously concerned about Leicester. And I think that'll play out. What about you?
Yeah, I'm very concerned about Leicester City. I think it's defensively as well. They seem to have picked up a habit in the last couple of months of conceding 2s and 3s. So defensively, I think clearly something's amiss for the Foxes. And they're still sort of trying to settle on a reliable centre-half pairing. I think when it comes to Derby County, I think there's a real efficiency about them. I think that they've got numbers defensively and they've also got numbers in attack, and they don't always, with the way that they set up, make a huge focus on the midfield battle because they feel like they back themselves defensively and they feel like they've got 3 forwards who can do damage moving forward. But they've also got somebody like Bobby Clark who's doing a really good job in midfield, and also Joe Ward, who's been a bit of a surprise story for this of the season for John Eustace's side. But that's what John Eustace's team is all about. It's finding players and making them making them better than the sum of their parts. So I think that's what John Eustace does, and for that reason, I'm going to back a 2-1 Derby County away victory.
We're both back in Derby, and Ward, I don't know what Ward was doing for that second yellow card, chasing back the Birmingham player and just making a silly foul. So he'll miss this one, of course, and be
Of
suspended.
course.
Up next, we have Stoke City, and they are hosting Sheffield United. Very interesting game, this one, given what we saw from Sheffield United at the weekend, conceding 5 at Wrexham. Stoke can't find a win right now and struggling to score goals as well. 0-0 at Preston on Boxing Day. I think I'm leaning towards Sheffield United, and I have been for some time in this one, Gab, but I'll let you give your score prediction first.
Well, I think the big thing you'd associate with Sheffield United is goals, because in the last, they've certainly been free scoring. If I read back there, since winning the derby at Hillsborough, they scored 3 at Sheff Wed, 3 against Portsmouth, 3 at Leicester, 4 against Stoke, 1 against Norwich, none at West Brom, 3 against Birmingham, and 3 at Wrexham. So clearly, in the last couple of months, Chris Wilder's side have found a real formula to move forward with. And Callum O'Hare's actually been one of their best performers all season. And he's, even when they weren't great collectively, O'Hare was the one who certainly stood out. They've got Gassama back now. Tyrese Campbell, I'm a big fan of, even though he doesn't always start, because they've got Patrick Bamford. So Ollie Arblaster's back, which I think is going to make a huge difference. And they've done well in the free market as well, with Jairo Reedwald coming in and doing a pretty solid job, albeit less solid away at Wrexham, where they did concede 5. But I think on the whole, the trajectory is upwards, and on the whole, they're certainly putting some daylight between themselves and the bottom 3, and I would expect them to continue to do that. Whereas for Stoke, I'm a little bit concerned about their form. If we go back, we can go back about 6 weeks now, because since they won 3-0 at Oxford United on the 4th of November, they lost 1-0 to Coventry, 2-1 at Leicester, they beat Charlton 3-0, but they lost 2-1 at home to Hull. They lost 4-0 at Sheffield United in the reverse fixture, 1-0 at Ipswich. Then they did beat Swansea 2-1, lost 1-0 at Watford, and then drew 0-0 with Preston North End on Boxing Day. So in terms of Stoke City's form, it's been a little bit patchy, to say the least. So a lot of work ahead for Mark Robins. For that reason, I'm going to back a 3-1 Sheffield United win.
I've gone 2-1 Sheffield United for the same reasons. I mean, you just revealed off a list of defeats there for Stoke. They need to improve sharpish. Norwich versus Watford. This is goals. Goals written all over this one for me, Gab. I think Norwich have been impressive since Clement came in. I think they're rising up the table, looking really good. Another win on Boxing Day, 1-0 at home against Charlton. And Watford, of course, scoring 2 at Leicester and getting the 3 points there. I think this is where I'm going to go for my bonus points. 5 goals or more, remember, if you get the correct score, it's 5 points. It's 3 points if you get the correct score, and it's 1 point if you get the correct result. It's just to let you know, if you're playing along in the comments. I can't separate them to these two, and I'm going to go for a wild 3-3 draw, Gab. I want goals on Monday night. I want goals at Carrow Road. I think Watford are an incredible team going forward. I think they're really strong. I think they can push for the playoffs. I think Norwich might have left it a little bit too late, but plenty of attacking quality there as well. So I'm going 3-3. How about you?
Yeah, huge turnaround, hasn't it, been for Norwich City since Philip Clement came in. They've taken 12 points from 8 games, which is top half form, thanks to that 1-0 victory over Charlton Athletic on Boxing Day. Clement's just picks things up, and there's players in there who look just completely transformed. I think Pele Matson would be the biggest example of that. He's covered every blade of grass for the Canaries in midfield. They've got Jovan Makama, the forward they got from Lincoln City in the summer, who's in top form as well. He got the winner against the Addicts. So there's a real turnaround, a real spirit about Philippe Clement. He set different standards for the Yellows. And for that reason, I think they're going to be stronger collectively than Watford, who I feel have some good individuals. Still not quite sold on them as a collective, albeit with 11 points from their last 5. So it's good form from Watford, but I'm going to back Norwich City. I'm going to go with a 2-1 home win.
Oxford Swansea is a tough one to call. I think I'm going to play it very safe and back a draw. Oxford obviously sacking Gary Rowett caught us a bit by surprise, hoping to pick up. Swansea looked reasonable against Coventry at the weekend in that 1-0 defeat, but didn't quite take advantage of their chances, which isn't quite what you expect from Zamfir Potnik and a couple of the other forwards. Gab, I'm afraid this is where I'm going to back no goals and go for a 0-0 draw between Oxford and Swansea. I think Oxford just need to keep the points ticking over if possible. What about you?
Yeah, I think Oxford, I'm quite taken by Oxford's result against Southampton on Boxing Day
Hmm.
after Gary Rowett was dismissed shortly before Christmas, because they won 2-1 against what we would accept as one of the best teams in the league in Southampton. And I think that's a really encouraging result. Uh, and they had plenty of attacks in that game as well, Oxford United under Craig Short. So really encouraging signs from the LAs that they've responded well to that slight change, and I wonder whether Craig Short's going to get the job until the end of the season.
Hmm.
But let's not forget Oxford have one of the better midfielders in the league in Brian de Keersmacher as well. So I'm willing to buy that there's something in this resurgence that we've seen a glimpse of from Oxford United against Southampton, and that maybe that can continue. Swansea, of course, have looked a little bit transformed as well under Vitor Matos with 9 points from their last 6. But I'm going to side with the Yellows with this one. I'm going to back-to-back home wins for Craig Short's side. I'm going to go 1-0 to Oxford United.
Can they do it again and sack a manager and stay up? Who knows? We'll see if it works again for Oxford United. West Brom, QPR next up at the Hawthorns. Now, QPR drew 1-1 at Portsmouth on Boxing Day, and West Brom lost 2-1 at home to Bristol City. Ryan Mason's still struggling to get results going, really, with West Brom. But again, I think I'm going to play things very safe and go for a draw, Gab. I'm so on the fence for this one. I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in a bid to keep my good form going and keep picking up these points. What about you?
I'm going to back QPR, Simon. I was so taken by them in their victory over Birmingham City a few weeks ago, and I like the template that they've got in place. I like the recruitment strategy. I'm actually starting to warm to the job Christian Nerley is doing. It is a 4-4-2 with a bit of a modern sort of slant on the formation, because they've got tricky, skillful wide men. Most recently in Sariki Dembele and Koki Saito. They've got 2 really athletic strikers in Richard Kone and Rahman Burrell. They've got midfielders who aren't afraid to put a foot in, and from deep they're happy to go wide early on and get crosses into the box. So a little bit of a modern dynamic slant on a traditional blueprint for QPR. And I really like teams where you can see a really clear playing identity, and that's what takes me with the R's. They're away at West Bromwich Albion, who I've got my concerns about this season, specifically from a fitness perspective, and I think that's reflected in the fact that they've lost 4 of their last 5 games with some major defensive issues. So although QPR's good form recently has come more at Loftus Road, and sometimes they can make a fortress from that and maybe not be as good away from home, but I'm going to back them to translate that to the Hawthorn. So I'm going to go West Bromwich Albion 2, QPR 3, and hopefully and those bonus points as well with that one.
Going for the 5 bonus points. I love to see it. And there could also be goals on the cards, potentially, if they can hit another 5 for Wrexham after they smashed Sheffield United 5-3 in that thrilling game on Boxing Day. Kiefer Moore getting 2 goals. Gabby, we put him in our team of the season up front, didn't you? Big call you made there on your channel, and looks to be paying off right now. They host Preston North End. How did Preston get on? Drew 0-0 at Stoke, of course they did. Yeah, I'm feeling more and more confident about Wrexham as the season progresses. I think their home form is really crucial. I think they can score a lot of goals. Obviously, we've not seen them score 5 so far this season until then, but I think the key for more up front, you're always going to cause teams problems. I also think a matchup against Preston is one that probably suits Phil Parkinson's men. Playing against that back 3, I think Moore's going to cause a lot of problems. I think Windass can increase his goal output as well. So I'm going to back another Wrexham home win as they kind of make a charge for the top 6. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Wrexham win, Gab.
Well, I think what interests me about Preston North End, Simon, is that they're unbeaten in 7. They got a point at Watford, 1 at Sheffield Wednesday, which, albeit you would expect, they've drawn with Wrexham and top of the league Coventry. They've won at Oxford. They've drawn with Norwich, and they've drawn with Stoke. Now, I suppose if you're applying a slightly critical lens, you would say that's a relatively favourable fixture list, even if you include the Coventry game in the mix, because they've played some bottom end teams, and maybe against an informed Wrexham side. I say an informed Wrexham side, but they've just beaten Sheffield United 5-3. I thought they were in better form than they were. Well, take two, guys. No, I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw as well. I think Preston North End seem to be the draw specialists of the Championship. They've shared the spoils 10 times this season already, haven't they? And that was a theme for us last season as well, wasn't it? With Paul Eckenbottom side, but they've only lost 4 games. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Wrexham 1, Preston North End 1.
I know they couldn't get the win, but I was encouraged by Sheffield Wednesday's 2-2 draw. Just to see them not lose a game is relatively refreshing against a whole side we've spoken quite positively about. And Sheffield Wednesday host Blackburn on Monday night in what would you say is a winnable game for them, which are a few and far between this season. Blackburn drew 0-0 at Middlesbrough and have been quite steadily picking up the points recently. Beat Millwall at home, of course, didn't they? 2-0. And they're doing okay under Valerian Ismail. I think these game weeks so close together are really difficult for Wednesday, given the size of their squad and the fact they're relying on youth players. And I know they've brought in a couple of experienced names on a free, but they really are kind of just going from game week to game week here. I had backed them. I'd written 1-1 down, Gab, to be honest, and now I'm regretting that. And I think that's a silly thing to do. So I'm going to change it last minute. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Blackburn Rovers win.
Yeah, I think what interests me about Blackburn is that they did manage to keep a clean sheet at Middlesbrough and earn a point there against one of the form sides in the league and have the better of that game. So there's a sign there that Valerian Ismail's side can put together a formula that can make them competitive with the best teams in the league. If you include the Ipswich game that got abandoned from around October time. I do think there are signs that in terms of recruitment, Blackburn have done quite well. I particularly like Molehita, who they signed from across Europe. He can play in attacking midfield or do quite a strong, solid, destructive role at the base of midfield with Sondre Tronstad, who's come back recently. So I'm warming to Blackburn Rovers. I really like Yuki Hashi up top. I've been a fan of him for a while. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Blackburn Rovers away to the beleaguered Owls.
Lovely stuff. Portsmouth Charlton's up next, and Portsmouth drawing at home to QPR on Boxing Day. Charlton going down at Carrow Road 1-0. And Charlton's games don't seem to contain many goals. I think they've had 2 1-0s, a 1-0 win and a 1-0 loss in their last 2 games. I think before that they might have had a 1-1 draw. I think Nathan Jones' side keep things tight. I think they're relatively narrow margins in these games. I think Portsmouth are really kind of difficult to judge right now. Let me get the home and away form up, because their home form this season is the 18th best in the league, right? There's 4 wins out of 12 at Fratton Park, and it's a place where they need to start picking up more points, and they need to really start winning games if they're going to survive this season, because their away form's the worst in the league. They've actually got worse away form than Sheffield Wednesday, can you believe it? 7 points from 10 games, and they've scored 7 goals on the road. So that gives us some data to go up for this one back at Fratton Park. I don't see them losing and I don't see them winning. So once again, I'm afraid, Gab, it's Mr. Boring for me this week. I'm going for a 1-1 draw between Portsmouth and Charlton. Sorry. Can you be more exciting than me?
I'll try to. I suppose from Portsmouth's point of view, what you would look to is, as much as there's been question marks over them at times this season, was the recruitment good enough? 5 points from their last 3 games does suggest a little bit of a corner has been turned for John Massigne's side since turning around that 1-goal deficit against Blackburn Rovers to win 2-1 thanks to Ibane Boat's dramatic winner. And it does seem to have given a bit of a lift to John Massigne's side, who they've got Nicholas Schmidt back, who was missing earlier in the season. I still think they're desperately missing some athleticism in midfield. Whether Luke Leroux or Mark Kosanovsky can be an answer to that remains to be seen. I think Adrian Sekicic coming back into the 11 will make a big difference, along with possibly Colby Bishop. But I think that's going to be really important, and doesn't surprise me that a couple of those changes came to fruition against QPR last time out, with Terry Devlin getting their goal. He's made a bit of a home for himself at right back, hasn't he? So with that in mind, I am going to back Portsmouth to get a victory over Charlton Athletic, who their form has dropped quite significantly from November time, only 4 points from their last 7. So I'm going to back Portsmouth to continue their little unbeaten run and make it 8 points from 4 for John Mazzino's men.
Excellent stuff. Millwall, Bristol City, and there are a few, obviously, of these reverse fixtures coming up from the start of December. They beat Bristol City 1-0 away from home, but since that win, no wins in 4, drawing 1-1 with Derby, losing 3-1 to Hull, losing at Blackburn, and then drawing 0-0 with Ipswich. It's been a bit of a disappointing drop-off from a Millwall team that were in 3rd place at one point in December, I think. Bristol City are a tough team to judge right now, as always, with Gerhard Struber in charge. I just don't know where to land on this one. Bristol City have won their last 2 since losing 1-0 at Coventry in a game they were well in as well. They've beaten Borough 2-0, beaten West Brom 2-1. I think I'm going to back them to win it, Gab. I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 Bristol City away win. And I think there's goals in there. I think Anis Mehmeti's been superb this season, by the way. I think he's up to 6 goals. 7 assists, maybe the other way around. 13 goal contributions this season. And for that reason, I'm backing a Millwall win. A Bristol City win at Millwall 2-1.
Yeah, I suppose I'm looking at the Millwall side that drew 0-0 with Ipswich last time out on Boxing Day. And I kind of think it looks a little bit disjointed, the 11. They've got a centre-half in Tristan Kramer at right back. They've got a left-back in Jay Bryan, who isn't the best defensively, and I'm not sure if he's a natural left-back. I think he's more of a wing-back by trade, even though he's almost had to play left-back. They've had to play Alfie Doughty in midfield because they're missing Casper Denore. I don't know if Macaulay Langstaff is a natural number 10. I would much rather have a natural number 10 option there. So for all those sorts of reasons, I'm a little bit. I could imagine Millwall looking slightly imbalanced, and you probably don't want to look imbalanced against the Gerhard Struber side when you always naturally think of that pressing side of the game. They're full of energy. They have a clear identity, don't they, Bristol City? And they're in form as well with 2 wins in 2. So for that reason, I'm going to back the Bristol City win here. I'm going to say Millwall 0, Bristol City 2.
We're both going for Bristol City. There you go. Middlesbrough Hull. Interesting one because 2 games without a win for Kim Hellberg after 4 wins on the bounce, got his managerial career at the Riverside underway. And Hull City are doing reasonably well, but will be massively frustrated that they drop points at Sheffield Wednesday, because if you're pushing for the playoffs, that's not a game you can afford to drop points in. I think the Riverside is important for Middlesbrough this season. I think this game will have quite a few goals in it. But I like the look of Middlesbrough this season in so many ways. I think Morgan Whittaker's finally come good at the Riverside. I'm not sure how Hayden Hackney didn't get sent off at the weekend, by the way, but he will be available for this one, and that's massive. I think I'm going to go for goals. I think I'm going to go Middlesbrough 4, Hull 1, and go for those 5 bonus points, Gab.
Good shout. Yeah, I think what's interesting for me is to make this 4-2-2-2 formation for Kim Hellberg work. I think they need that midfield pivot. Now, I've always spoken about Hayden Hackney and Aidan Morris in midfield for the Borough this season and how important they've been, specifically under Rob Edwards. And then when Aidan Morris has been unavailable or Hayden Hackney, the discourse has been that they've got Alan Brown, who's been one of the most reliable Championship midfielders over the last decade, available to come in. But what interests me about the 11 away at home to Blackburn on Boxing Day was that it was Alex Gilbert playing alongside Hackney rather than Aidan Morris or Alan Brown, who was on the bench. But it wouldn't surprise me if Brownie came in for this game, just to give them that bit of solidity, because that allows the fullbacks in Callum Britton and Matt Targett to get forward, and that means that they've got the width. So I think for all those reasons, it wouldn't surprise me at all if there was a change in midfield, which could make a big difference for the Borough, and then that should in turn bring the best out of those attacking players that you mentioned, like Morgan Whittaker, like Tommy Conway, Mike Hamilton, Strelec. I think in terms of those attacking players, very Nipan, if he comes in as well, they're going to need that freedom to rotate and interchange rather than maybe be worried about what's going on further back. All that to say, I'm going to back Middlesbrough for this one. I think they're going to beat Hull City by 3-1.
Lovely stuff. And finishing off, Gab, I'll throw straight to you because Birmingham City are back in action and they're hosting Southampton in that's an eye-catching game for anyone who wants to watch that one. Oh, I can't call it, mate. How Birmingham looked, they're disappointed not to beat 10-man Derby for most of the game, weren't they?
Yes, we were. It's quite frustrating, really, because we make some allowances for our poor away form and the fact we've not quite been able to translate some dominant home performances on the road. But actually, our last two home games have only been draws as well, against Charlton and Derby. So a little bit of St Andrews frustration creeping in for Birmingham City, combined with some away no-shows like at QPR, Sheffield United, Southampton, albeit some good teams as well, where you're thinking you're kind of left wanting a little bit more. So with that in mind, it's a little bit of an uncertain time for us in terms of on the pitch, even though really exciting one off it. And we're winless in 5, and therefore I'm not sure I'm quite confident enough to back us to beat Southampton. The Saints, of course, had that initial turnaround under Tonda Eckert, which really seemed to sort of catapult them into the mix. But since then, they've only taken 7 points from their last 5 games and 1 point from the last 3. So they've hit a bit of a blip, you might say, as well. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I'm going for a 2-2 draw because everything you said, I think, was bang on, Gab. Don't want to stray too far from that. I don't think I can trust Birmingham to win a game at the minute, and I don't think I can trust Southampton to win a game at the minute. So, of course, I have to land on draw. I think there'll be goals, though. I think there's a lot of attacking quality on show. So I'll go for a Desmond, a 2-2 to round off our predictions. Gab, thank you very much for joining me. We'll catch up again soon. See if you can have another amazing game week as you just had and close the gap further on me. By the way, the current scores, I'm on 69. Ollie's on 52. Gab is on 50. But we're only at the halfway stage. There's plenty to play for. Plenty of points up for grabs. Please do like and subscribe. Get your score predictions in the comments down below. But that's it for this week's episode of the Championship Prediction League, and we'll see you next time.